everybody, welcome to episode 3 of Coffee Talk with Stephanie
and Cameron.
And today we're going to talk about one of the most stressful things in a relationship, money.
So the reason we wanted to talk about money in relationships is because we learned recently that that's actually the number 1 reason that couples end up separating. And we saw a stat that was actually pretty disheartening that couples that disagree or argue about money on average once a week are 30% more likely to end up divorced. So we wanted to talk about what we thought were 5 great tips or ways to talk about money in your relationship. So the first tip is to talk about what you earn, what you owe, and what you own. It's very surprising how many people in relationships, or especially in the dating phase, have no idea what the other person earns. And I know that can be uncomfortable to talk about at first, especially if you're just recently in a relationship, but if things are getting serious and even marriage is even a thought, you definitely want to know what each other earns so you know what your household income's going to be. And then secondly, talking about what you owe, because it's going to be quite a shock if you get in a relationship, and especially if you get married and find out that someone has $50,000 in student loans and $15,000 in credit card debt. You want to get all of this out in the open, out on the table before you get married, so that way there's no surprises. And then lastly, what you own. Now, sometimes this isn't the most comfortable conversation either, especially if you're younger and you haven't really established yourself with a career, and maybe you don't own that much. Maybe the only thing you own is your clothes and your car. There's nothing wrong with that, but you want to talk about it ahead of time so that you know everything the other person is bringing to the table and making sure that everybody's comfortable with it.
Yes. Okay, so the second thing we're going to talk about is experiences with money growing up. So every household, I feel like, is different. Did you grow up where, your family lived paycheck to paycheck? Did they spend a little bit more freely? Did they make investments?
Yeah, these are all things that, whether you realize it or not, are going to have a big impact on the way you view money as an adult. Maybe you'll realize the habits that they did you don't want to do, or you'll do some of the habits, good and bad. And it's just good to talk about it with your partner before you get married, just to see where you guys are both at.
Yes.
All right, and number 3 is you all need to have the conversation of, will you have joint accounts? This used to not be a topic back when I know our parents were growing up, but nowadays it is not uncommon that the significant other and yourself will not share joint accounts, or maybe you'll have a joint account for bills and you'll have your own spending accounts. We're not saying there's a right or wrong way to do it. Personally, we both have all of our accounts joint, and honestly, it was because we did have separate accounts and then just one bills account.
So much easier that way.
But it's just so much easier to join them all because there's no like, hey, we're gonna go on vacation. Who's gonna pay for the hotel room, and then who's gonna pay for the plane tickets? We don't even think about any of it. We put it all together, and at the end of the month when we review our budget, it just made it easier for us. But again, we're not saying that's the right way to do it. You definitely want to do what's going to make you both happy, but that's the important part of talking about it before you get married, so someone doesn't think something's going to happen and the other person thinks the complete opposite.
Okay, so topic number 4 is, are you a natural spender or a natural saver? In our relationship, I'm definitely the spender and he's the saver. Just being on the same page with things. I don't go overboard, but I don't always ask permission for things.
Yeah, and we're not really trying to say like one way's the right way or the wrong way. It's just understanding what you are naturally. And if you're both the same, that's fine, but just being aware of it. I think have a nice balance because I naturally tend towards saving and being a little more conservative, or maybe a tightwad, as someone may say.
Every black t-shirt he owns.
Yeah, wearing the same black t-shirt. Well, different black t-shirt, but only black t-shirts. But yeah, just knowing there's nothing wrong with being one way or the other. It's just nice to know naturally how you handle money. She's a little more loose to let go of money, and sometimes that's good for me because it's hard for me, like especially if we're on vacation or something. It's like, hey, she kind of like nudges me like, it's okay, we worked hard to be able to afford this vacation. We can go out to dinner and not have to worry about it. So,
but he does help me think too, like, do I need a Starbucks today? Like, I had one yesterday.
Yes.
Maybe I need one tomorrow instead.
Yeah. Unless if you're both spenders or both savers, then you might know, hey, we might need to work a little harder on saving money, or if you're naturally a saver, we might need to work a little harder on letting go of some of that money to enjoy life.
Yes.
All right, and number 5 is, what are your financial goals? So to me, this is one of the most important topics, and it's actually one of our favorite ones to discuss in our relationship because we are open with money and finances in our conversation. So now we have the same financial goals or understand what the other person's are. And when I say financial goals, I don't just mean how much do you want to make a year. I mean, how much do you want to have in your savings so that you feel comfortable? How much do you want to invest for your retirement and future? How long do you want to work until you retire? What's your retirement number look like? How much with cars? Are you someone that's okay with carrying a car loan or having a high monthly car payment? Or are you someone that's, no, I only like to buy cars in cash? So just knowing these kinds of things, even house with, something we help people with all the time is, what are your goals or your budgeting ideas for a home? Because it could be different than your partner's. So talking about all this, and I'm not gonna lie, at first it can be kind of uncomfortable. I know when we first started talking about it, it was, well, maybe I'm not proud of how much I only currently own at the moment, or in our situation, maybe somebody made more than the other person. So it was something that you just have to kind of swallow your ego and understand it's important to have these awkward, uncomfortable conversations now, because they're gonna be a lot more uncomfortable when you're married.
Later.
Yeah, and there's some skeletons in the closet of either debts or how someone spends money that you did not know about. So guys, I hope these 5 tips were helpful. If there's anything else that maybe you personally do in your relationship to talk about money, or something that we missed, please go ahead and drop it in the comments below. We'd love to get some other ideas and tips how to talk about money in relationships.
Yes.
And if not, we will talk to you all next week.
We're done. All right.
All right.
All right says keyword. Get back in focus.
All right. It's like, yeah. All right.